name is Hello everyone. My name is Erin Carranza, and I'd like to welcome you to my new channel, Transformation through Reunification. So I'm in the middle of switching gears, and I decided to strike out on my own. But I wanted to talk about reunification for a minute. When they say they want to see you benefit from services, the first thing you say is, "Oh, this is what I learned," and then you'll give them a definition or an example of, if so and so hits me, that's abuse, I should leave. Well, that's not what they're looking for, and they won't tell you what they're looking for. They want to know how you are benefiting from services, how you are applying it to your situation. So when you talk about what you learned in your parenting class, what you learned in your DV class or your domestic violence class, you need to add it to your life. So, what I learned in my parenting class is when little Johnny does this, then I do A, B, and C. So, you have to directly apply it to your life, or they'll say you're not benefiting from services. And this is something they do all the time. They did it to me. And I'm a reunification coach. I teach other parents how to benefit from their services. And they told me I wasn't benefiting from services because I answered their question with how they asked the question. I didn't interpretate what they were saying or whatever lingo they were trying. They're trying to trick you. So you want to make sure you apply it to your life and your situation. You learn X, Y, and Z in your parenting class, and this is what it is. Because if you just give them the standard, oh, yeah, well, I learned this was abuse and I learned that is abuse, they're going to say you're not benefiting from services, you haven't learned how to take responsibility, or you're minimizing, or whatever else they can come up with. So make sure when they ask you what's going on in your class, are you benefiting, are you not benefiting, what's happening, apply it to your case specifically. If you just give them a general statement, they're going to be like, oh, she hasn't learned anything, which I did, because I didn't know they wanted me to apply it to my life and to my case. They said I was minimizing my suicide attempt. Well, I wasn't. It had already been, I think, almost half a year by the time I was able to get in to see their therapist. Um, and I had already done the work that I needed to do to get over what I had done. I had done the work with my children. I actually did between 70 and 80 hours of therapy before my daughter was removed from me. I was out of the hospital a month. I had already done all of this stuff, and they didn't care. They wanted to take my daughter. They took her without a warrant and all this other stuff. And I have my child back. I have joint legal custody with my ex. Even though CPS or DCFS, whatever you want to call it, I'm here in San Bernardino County, so we call it DCFS or CPS. But even though they did literally everything they could to keep me from getting my child back, they lied, submitted false reports, they changed reports. Luckily, I had a very good monitor, and I love him. Ozzy, you're the best. I say thank you to him every single day because he was honest and he stood up and said what was right. Um, I had a really great public defender. Um, Now, don't get me wrong, her and I did not get along in the beginning. We bumped heads, we argued. I thought she was horrible. She thought I was horrible. But something happened in my case where I made her stop in her tracks, and I was able to re explain things, reevaluate, get her to change the way she was looking at this case. And then she ended up fighting for my daughter like she was her niece. Sometimes we just need to refocus people in our lives. Um, I was lucky enough that I got some really good advice at the beginning of my case from attorney Vincent Davis. who I used to work with. I'm not doing it anymore because I'm trying this out on my own. But anyways, he's wonderful. If you need an attorney, I suggest him. Anyways, so he told me, he said, Erin, your child was removed. Get over it. What are you going to do about it? And I was super offended. I said, excuse me, get over it. But he's right. Because 6 months comes really, really quickly. And I was already 2.5 months in, and I hadn't done any of my services because they don't tell you that you are responsible for setting them up. So you have to make sure you're on top of them for your services. You need to make sure you're on top of them for any kind of reports. Do not speak to them without your attorney knowing about it or with your attorney present. Even while you are in, supervised visitation. They will use everything against you, even positive stuff. I finished one of my classes, one of my services. They used it against me. Um, so don't talk to the social worker. No, sorry. F them. Fuck them. Don't talk to them. Um, don't be an asshole. So be nice and kind, but don't be open and honest and think that they are your friend and they want you to have your child back. So for as long as I have been doing this, I have never seen a case where the caseworker, the social worker, whatever you call it, have been interested in reunification. I have never seen a case where they want the child back in the home. Every single time I help somebody or I talk to somebody, it's automatically, bam, right into foster care. And then they don't give the parents a second look or a second thought. They say they're not benefiting, they're not showing up, they're not doing this, their visits aren't good. Well, that's not true. If you know it's not true, then you can talk to your attorney and you can get something called the delivered service logs. I highly suggest you get them. They're a very interesting read. Delivered service logs. Now, the reason I say get them is because they are like an inter-office communication between the caseworker, county council, the foster parents if you have them. Like everything is in these logs, and they have to be because that's how they get their federal funding. So, get them. I got mine, and there was exculpatory evidence. I hope I said that okay. I'm not an attorney. So I'm just a coach, personal coach, reunification coach, whatever. But my report stated that my visits were phenomenal and great, and I should teach this, and blah, 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 blah. In court, my report said something completely different than my delivered service logs. So here in San Bernardino County, when you go to supervised visitation, you go into a room, and I was in a dirty office, like grimy ass little place, and they have somebody sit in a chair in the hallway and watch you. So the monitor that was watching me was documenting everything, what I smelled like that day, my hair looked like, what I was wearing, all of that, and how great my visits were. I would do camping, cosmic bowling. I did all kinds of stuff. But then when he submitted his report, the report got to my attorney and it said, do not leave Erin alone with her child. She hasn't benefited from services. She hasn't completed services. So I printed out that damn report and I took it to my monitor and I said, what the hell? Why would you say this? And he was like, I didn't say that. You have to subpoena me. And that's all he said. He goes, no, subpoena me. He can't say anything. And I didn't want him to. I don't know if I should have showed him the report because it was right before our hearing, but I didn't care. I knew that I was not hurting my child or my child was in danger with me. My daughter was taken away because my ex-best friend at the time and my husband decided to call CPS on me. I tried to take my own life when I caught my husband having an affair. I woke up I was in the hospital for 5 days by choice. I stayed longer than the 72 hours because I wanted to get better. I did therapy with my children. I did therapy on my own. I volunteered, did all this stuff. 33 days later is when CPS came in and took my child away. So I I can't say what I really want to say. But we suspect inappropriate relationships going on between parties. And I don't disagree. It's kind of funny that I was seen on a Monday. My husband was seen on Wednesday, and my daughter was removed on a Friday. I had all my stuff recorded. I have nanny cams in my house. There's a sign at my front door that says you're being recorded. And my nanny cams picked up my daughter's interview and my interview. They left the house giving me a round of applause and telling me they had no problem leaving my daughter alone with me whatsoever. They said that my house was beautiful, my daughter's room is beautiful, blah, blah, blah. I forgot that I had these videos. And so I went and I checked. DCFS was literally trying to get my child to admit that either mommy or daddy beat her. Beat her. And as we all know, children are people pleasers and they'll say what they want to say. But luckily, she was my kid. And she said, nope, 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 nope. But they literally were trying to get my daughter to admit to something that never fucking happened. So, I say record everything. Now, you're in your own home, there's privacy laws, and when you're in your home, you can do what you like. You cannot record inside the DCFS office legally. You cannot, but you can, what you can do, and what I did, because I know who my husband is, I hired a private investigator to record all my comings and goings inside the office because I knew that somebody was going to say something. Somebody was going to say, hey, Erin is crazy. She's doing this and she's doing that. And a couple of months later, they did. And I said, well, Pucky, what date was this? And they said, oh, it's all the time. And I said, no, it wasn't. Tell me a date. Just give me a single date of when I harassed the babysitter. And so they gave me a date and I sent them a video. They didn't expect that. And they're like, you're recording us? And I said, yeah. I'm allowed to legally record my comings and goings outside of this building. And I hired somebody to do it, somebody who could testify in court, somebody that would, reputable, because I knew that I was suing DCFS for the removal of my child without a warrant. They didn't contact my tribe. They did all kinds of stuff. I knew it was wrong what they did, and I knew that I needed to take the steps prior to cover my butt. But then I also have a different outlook on life sometimes. And this is what I wanted to talk about. My daughter was removed, and it was the most painful thing that I've ever gone through. Now, my son, who is 22 now, he was diagnosed with leukemia when he was 5. 6 years of chemotherapy was easier to deal with than having my daughter removed from me. When my son was sick, I was in the hospital with him. I could love him and kiss him and take care of him and be mama. When I was in dependency court, I didn't know where my child was or when I was going to see her. They favored my husband at the time, and, screw me. I was the crazy one. Now, I have my own theories about that, and I'll go into that in another video. But so I was sleeping for like a week after they took her. I just could not function. And then I decided that I was going to use this time that the universe has given me the time that my daughter was removed as a gift. I was going to take advantage of every single thing that I could to make myself a stronger, better parent, a stronger, better mama, Aaron, friend, anything. I was going to use this time to become a better me. You know, when we're parents, we have kids, we won't take care of ourselves. We feel guilty. I feel guilty. I can't buy myself this because my kid needs this, or I could have bought my child this. Well, we're the pillars, and when the pillar starts to crumble, everything else falls down. And this pillar crumbled so far that I tried to take my own life. And I damn near succeeded, except for my mother recognized where I was, the carpet of where I was laying on. And by the way, my husband watched the whole thing. I was FaceTiming or streaming or something my suicide attempt with him, and he pretended he didn't know where I was. He didn't pick up the phone. I told him to go pick up my daughter. She was at my sister's house. My daughter wasn't even with me when this happened. No, him and his friends just watched me, and they gave my daughter to him 33 days after. So I couldn't figure out why this happened, because I'm a good mother. I take really good care of my children, all of my children. And so I decided that every day I was going to get up and make myself better somehow. For me. I'm going to practice self-care, get up every day, exercise or do yoga, which you have to do. You have to have some kind of physical outlet. You have to join a support group. You have to find other parents that are going through this, because if I didn't live this, I would have no idea. I wouldn't know. I've always thought, ooh, CPS comes in, you're a bad parent, right? Well, no, not at all. Now, there are some cases where children need to be rescued. But in the time that I have been doing this, I have not met a single family who deserved to have their child forcefully removed and put into the system. Now, going into the foster care system is supposed to be the last ditch effort that they do. Not lately. Lately, it's the first thing they do, to take your kid and go. So instead of getting down on myself and start feeling sorry for myself, or just wallowing in this horrible sadness and this heartbreak, I decided that I was going to make myself better. I was going to transform myself through reunification. I was going to become better. They were never going to see me crying. They were never going to see me upset or looking sad with a hair out of place. I was always going to be dressed. I dressed like I was going to court every day or going to work. Even if I was falling apart in the car on the way there, I think I went to one of my visits 2 times in tennis shoes. And that was because we were doing cosmic bowling. But every other time, I was in my stilettos and I was dressed. I didn't want them to see that they were winning, that they were hurting me, that my heart was broken, that I was, I was there, and I was there to encapsulate my child in this little world that I created for her and I, as close to his home as we could be. And I'll go through how to do all stuff like that in coming videos. But so I used it every day to make myself better in some way. And I knew that if I was making myself better, I was becoming a better mother. Because if the foundation's not right, then everything else is not going to stand. So get yourselves a support group. Get yourselves an outlet. I paint. This behind me is my therapy, my outlet. I never painted before a day in my life until my daughter was removed. And then I had to find some kind of outlet, because you will explode. You will erupt. They will do stuff specifically to trigger you right before court. They'll keep your kid away from you. You will, miss visits, everything and anything. So when it's time for you to walk into that courtroom, you're going to look like you're the crazy one, that they are just doing their job, right? So get an outlet. Find a support group. Eat right. Exercise, do yoga, swim, take a walk every single day. You have to have an outlet. this is the hardest thing that I've ever done in my life. This was the most heartbreaking, painful thing I've ever gone through. And if you stay inside and you just sit there, and if you don't do anything, if you have no outlet, you are going to go freaking Ruby Ridge, and then you're going to lose your children forever. So exercise, eat right, have an outlet, paint, journal, something, find a support group. There's a lot of us out there. Um, Make sure you're very communicative with your lawyer. If you need help doing that, I can teach you that too. But I really want parents to benefit and transform and get their kids back as fast as possible. They don't tell you anything. So that's when I decided that I was going to use this time as a gift. The reason my daughter was taken away from me was so I could be put into this world and I could see that I can make a difference and that I can help. And so that's what I'm here to do. So if you have a story you want to tell me, talk about, I will be doing weekly shows every week. I'm going to do just like kind of like I did before, but you can come on. I'll give you a platform to talk about it. If you guys have any ideas you want to share with me, you can talk about it. I will be booking appointments and things like that. You can book an appointment with me and I can help design a visit for you or a family member. But I'm in a transitional period and I just wanted to touch base with everybody and tell you guys I'm still here. You can still get hold of me through my email. And I know this is the worst time right now. I know what it's like not to have my daughter through the holidays because last year is when I didn't have my Lola. I've posted a couple of videos on how to make it easier for you, things you can do with your child. But yeah, it's really, I don't even know how to describe the pain Christmas morning was for me. Christmas Eve, Thanksgiving, Halloween. Especially when you haven't done anything wrong. When this is based on false accusations by an ex or a neighbor or an old friend who thought you were having an affair with their husband because they had a bad dream. So children are removed far too easily, far too quickly. And I happen to be really good at visitation and I was really good at looking at things in a different way. So I decided to take my talents, get out of retail, and now I'm here doing this. So keep a lookout for my other shows. Brian Hamilton is a therapist friend of mine. He will be coming on regularly. Art Bustamante is my private investigator who I hired all the time, and he's going to come on and we're going to talk about tips and laws and things like that. And of course, parents that just want to tell their story. Another thing I learned is nobody listens to nobody. Nobody listens to the parents. You have no chance to speak. You can't speak at court, nothing. So I'm going to give you a platform, a place where you can talk. A little, think of it as your own soapbox. But until then, I'm Erin Carranza, and I hope you enjoyed my little video, and I'll see you guys soon.